Hello and welcome to my channel. The topic of today's video will be about IAC and how to deploy an EC2 instance on Amazon AWS using Terraform. We will cover some key aspects of this technology and how it can enhance your tech stack. Now let's talk about what is IAC. And it stands for Infrastructure as a Code. It gives you and your projects the power to spin up and maintain your infrastructure using code and avoiding the manual or work overhead. As all your infrastructure will be kept on a code base, seeing the big picture of your environment and what your architecture is like will be an easy task. Manually managing your infrastructure takes a lot of time and is prone to numerous amount of problems. We all know that. With IAC, you can manage the machine's operating systems, networking architecture, environment variables, databases, and much more on a code base. So it's a good solution to easily manage different development environments. Because you have control on the components of your infrastructure, it will help your project scale as needed much more easily due to a simplicity of management on all the components of it. And not only that, it's also possible to configure multiple cloud infrastructures on your code. That will allow your projects to be more resilient, reliable, and of course, profitable. If one cloud happens to be down, you can ship your entire code base to another cloud instantly. It's also common to manage different environments on different cloud providers. If your company needs to change cloud providers for any reason, be it pricing or is needing a better provider, you can do it at the speed of light. Now that we have talked more a little bit on the benefits of using IAC, let's see what we'll be doing today. And the next step will be inside AWS. So you need an AWS account. If you don't have one, please create one. It's free. You get $500 to test their services. And the next step will be to create an IAM admin user. We need to create resources and destroy resources too inside with Terraform. And that will allow us to have enough permissions to do that. We'll also add the machine IP inside the security group that we'll be using. So let's go ahead and do that. Here I am inside the AWS console. I can search for IAM here and click on that. No deal with that. Right here, I'm gonna click on users. You can see that I already on a user. I will create another one. I will call it Terraform user. Terraform admin. Sure. And I will attach policies directly on this user. If you search for admin, you can click on this box, administrator access, and create next. Let's add a tag. Purpose. Terraform. Terraform admin. Sure. Create user. Now we need a way to log into our user so we can access him. So we need to create an access key. Let's create one. Let's do that. Sure. No. Okay, so save these credentials because we'll need them later on. If you happen to lose your credentials, you can create a new one later on. That's no big deal with that. Just click done. Sure, continue. Now we need to add the IP from our machine inside a EC2 because we will be using EC2. So let's do that. we'll need to add inside our security group. Let's go ahead and click on security groups. And I will use the default security group. You can use another one if you want to. I'll edit inbound rules or remove this IP, and I'll I'll click on my IP. If you want to use a server IP address, you can use custom here and specify the IP that you want to. But I will use from my machine, so let's call it Terraform admin. Sure. You need to specify all traffic in order to have access via internet. Save rules. It will save the rules for you. That's it. Now let's talk a little bit more about some Terraform concepts. In Terraform, you have providers. And providers are basically public cloud providers in Terraform. They expose their resources via plugins. So, what are plugins? When you're making IAC for a particular cloud provider, when initiating the project with the command Terraform init, we'll see later on what this command does. The project downloads all needed plugins for that particular provider, right? So let's see a little bit more some commands of Terraform. The Terraform init command initializes a working directory and downloads all the needed plugins for your provider. The Terraform plan, it creates a plan of execution and deploy. The Terraform apply, it executes the actions proposed by Terraform plan command on your infrastructure. So all the time that you perform Terraform plan command, you must see all the changes that will be done on your infrastructure, and then you perform Terraform apply. Okay? And the Terraform destroy command, it deletes all Terraform created resources. That's basically it. You can check all Terraform providers inside their official registry. You can just search on Google. That's the first link. As you can see, there are plenty of them: AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle Cloud, Alibaba, and much more. You can even build your own provider. You have to read the documentation for that. Okay, now is the time to get our hands dirty. Let's see some code steps that we will perform on Terraform. The first step is to define the Terraform block. And the Terraform block defines how Terraform will operate, the behavior, the version, the required providers. The second step is to define required providers sub-block. It specifies the external providers, the source and version of them that Terraform will need to communicate with to create or manage infrastructure. The third step is to define the provider block. It defines and configures how Terraform connects to a specific cloud or service. So these are credentials, regions, and so on. The fourth step is to define the resource block. It represents a specific component from our infrastructure, like EC2, the instance types, the, the buckets, S3 buckets, for example, the image type for our operating system, and so on. It tells Terraform what to create and manage. So let's do that. Right here, I'm gonna create a file. The file will be called ec2.tf, which is the extension for Terraform. The second one is provider.tf, which will manage some of our providers configuration. So let's start with our Terraform block. Right here, we need the required providers. I don't need that. So AWS source is, we can we can see that right here on documentation. There's no problem with that. So we can see that this is the latest version of AWS Terraform provider. Let's use that. So I will specify HashiCorp AWS and the version 5.68.0.0. Now we need the provider block, which is AWS. Right here, you will specify the region and the access key, the credentials key. I'm gonna use SAS1. You can use whatever you want to. I will leave it empty right now. Before deploying, you have to provide the credentials for Terraform. Okay, so right now, let's specify our EC2 instance. So the first step is to specify which resource will Terraform create for us, right? And we want to create an AWS instance. Let's call it first EC2 to Terraform. Yeah, whatever. The AMI that we'll be using, which is, if you don't know, it's called Amazon Managed Images, and you need them to create your instance. Let's tell the instance type for Terraform, which will be T2 Micro, which is included on the free plan. Now, I'm going to specify a tag for this. Why? Because I want to see the name inside my AWS console. First, EC2. This will be displayed inside our Terraform instance. So let's grab our AMI. On Google, I will search AMI EC2 locator AWS. Inside here, you will search for the region you want to deploy your image to. Mine is SAS1, and I will be using the latest version of Ubuntu and the architecture AMD. So let's copy this code, and I'm gonna copy here. So this is the configuration that we'll be doing, and the name of the files doesn't really matter. Okay, you can name them whatever you want, but I've kept these names because they make sense. Okay, if you don't have Terraform installed on your machine yet, you just need to search Terraform download inside Google, and it's pretty straightforward step to do. You just have to see which operating system you are into and download. For Linux is pretty straightforward, pretty easy. I have Terraform installed on my machine, so let's do that. Remember, you have to provide your secret and your login credentials that we have created before inside the provider.tf file. Now you can check if you have Terraform installed on your machine. So I do have it. I will init a working directory. Let's wait a little bit. This is creating all the configuration and downloading all plugins needed for the cloud providers that we have configured. Right now, we have only AWS. Sure, it have done for us. So the next step is to plan our the changes that will be made. So that's the command for it, the Terraform plan. So we do have an error here. Let's fix that. You can use Terraform validate to see if everything is fine. Sure, everything is fine. Let's do that again. Okay, you can see everything that will be done inside your cloud provider. That's always a good practice to review all this information before applying. So yeah, let's see that. That's the instance type, the AMI. Everything is correct. So let's apply the changes and Terraform will deploy our infrastructure for us. Let's type yes. So Terraform have deployed. Let's see if we already have an EC2 instance created. Let's wait a little bit. So as you can see, it's initializing. Now, as you can see, we have our infrastructure deployed on AWS. This is the name that we have created, and that's it. Now, if we want to destroy this infrastructure, we can easily do that. Let's do Terraform destroy. Let's do yes to confirm. You can review all the changes that will be done, everything that will be deleted. This is always a good practice. So as you can see, Terraform is performing some actions right here. Guys, check all the links below, give it a like, share with your friends, with someone that you think this video might be helpful with. And that's it. Let's wait a little bit. Sure. Let's see if Terraform have destroyed for us. As you can see, we don't have our instance running yet. Thanks for watching.